Hello and welcome back to the My First Marathon podcast, where we interview runners in all stages of their running careers about their first marathon experiences to prove to you that anyone can run a marathon. My name is Taylor, and today's episode diving into Paige's first marathon is a ride to say the least. She grew up playing sports and ran casually here and there, but didn't start getting serious about it until college, and even then it was still pretty chaotic. Her first longer race happened because a friend asked her at Waffle House at 2 a.m. if she wanted to run a 15K. Of course she said yes, and that moment kind of kicked off everything. Eventually, Paige found her way to marathon training with a goal of running more marathons than her dad and ended up finding so much more. She walks us through her first marathon at Coeur d'Alene, which included heat, hills, hydration issues, and a lot of tears, but despite everything going wrong, she finished the race and since then, she's continued to train for more marathons. Her story is funny, honest, and full of lessons about how chaotic training can be and why it's still worth it. So without further ado, please welcome Paige. All right, Paige, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm super excited to have you on. I'm excited to break down your marathon story. It sounds like it's been a long road of running for you. Marathoning's been like over the last 5 years, but before we start, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, let's start from the beginning. How'd you get introduced to running, or if movement started for you before running, how did you get introduced to movement?
Yeah, so I was like a huge sports kid growing up. So I think I played like 5 or 6 sports. Soccer was the main one. So I kind of was like into the whole running thing before I was into running, right?
Yeah.
And so I have like memories back from like middle school running like local 5Ks all the time. But ran all through like all the sports. I would go on like random runs, like, oh, let me just clear my head, whatever. I'd run like around the block, a mile and a half, whatever. No, nothing crazy. And then when I was in high school, my junior year of high school, I realized my soccer coach kind of ruined the sport for me, which I realized in TikTok is not a unique experience. It happens for a lot of people, unfortunately. But so my senior year, I was like, well, I'm not going to play soccer, so I don't really know what I'm going to do. And my guidance counselor was the cross country coach. And so she was like, come run cross country. You'll make the team. It'll be great. And I was like, I don't know. And so it was the top 20 finishers. They did a mock 5K through sand. I grew up in Florida. Like our cross country season was on beaches. It was horrible.
My gosh, sand is no joke. Yeah.
No, it was so bad. And so she was like, yeah, the top 20 people, you'll have no problem. I was the 20th. Like
but you barely
scraped in. Yeah, I made it, but I barely scraped in.
Yeah.
So I ran. That was the first time I like competitively ran. I was not good by any means. 5Ks, even to this day, I hate a 5K. 5K's number one hater is me. There's no reason I need to run fast for 3 miles. Not into it, right?
Yeah.
It's just not my jam. So that was the first time I ran kind of more competitively. Graduated, went to college. Interestingly enough, I started rock climbing when I went to college. So I jumped into that like you did.
Yeah.
But I was more into like the bouldering scene because I also was not good at rock climbing. Like who let me do this, right? I was not good at it. So with bouldering, I was like, I'm not holding anybody up. So I'll just, climb around a little bit. This will be fun. Tore my labrum in my shoulder.
Oh my gosh, no.
It's fine. So I was like, okay, well, obviously I can't rock climb anymore. I'll just start running. Like, whatever, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
I had to have a shoulder surgery eventually on it. Like it was pretty good tear. And once I recovered from that, I was like, okay, rock climbing just like isn't for me anymore. Let's go running. And I would just run on trails around like my college. And I was never really like, if there was a 5K, then sure, I'd do it.
Yeah.
And then one day, I was at Waffle House. I don't know if we even have these I live in DC now. I don't know if we have them up here, but shout out Waffle House. I was in a Waffle House at like 2 a.m. after a night out, and my friend was like, oh, I'm running this 15K next week. Do you want to run it? And I was like, yeah, sure.
For sure.
Yeah. Whatever. Signed up for it. Went and ran this 15K, and it was like the start of that, like the energy. It was a huge race. I was like, this is so fun. Like all these people are so excited to just be here. I didn't think I would be. It was like 30 degrees at like 6 in the morning. And I was like, yeah, this is super fun. So that was like the first race I really remember enjoying. And then after that, I started training for half marathons a little bit. I ran one with no training. Never, ever would recommend. Really thought my legs were going to fall off.
Oh my gosh. How much training had you done? Like 0, absolutely none, or?
I would do like 3-ish miles every now and then. Like it was never anything crazy. And this was exact same similar situation. Maybe this time I was at a Whataburger, middle of the night, had just gone out. The week before, my friend, same friend, hey, do you want to run this half marathon? And I was like, yeah, I ran a 15K. What's the difference? A lot's of difference, but and so I signed up for this race, which was funny enough. I was the only one that like actually registered for it. Like all my friends just like Bandit ran it. They were like, we're not going to have bibs or do anything. And I was like, why am I doing this then? And so that week I ran 8 miles, and my college roommate has a really funny video of me. We didn't want to walk all the way around our apartment complex, so we climbed the fence, and my legs cramped when I was at the top of the fence, and my toes are like pointing straight at the ground, and I'm just like hanging there. And I was like, maybe this is the sign that I shouldn't run a half marathon, but I did, and it took me like 3.5 hours. It was something ridiculous, and I was like, I'm not built for half marathons. Like that's not it. I got engaged, and then I was like, oh, well, this will give me some like de-stressing time. So I trained for I actually trained for this one. I trained for a half marathon, which I have like really terrible race luck apparently. So I was going to run this half marathon in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I got there, and where the marathon took place was like where the time change took place. And so when I rolled up, instead of being 30 minutes early, I was 30 minutes late. And they were like, this sweep already went. You gotta, sorry.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible.
It was so bad.
I think the odds were stacked against you. That's confusing. I would be also confused.
Right. And it was like pouring rain the whole entire time. So I was like, and this is my college roommate again, and he's such a trooper. I was like, I guess I'm just gonna go make my own half marathon.
Yeah.
So I ran around downtown Chattanooga. He rode on his bike with me. It was pouring rain. It was miserable. After that, I was like, I'm never doing this again. Like, this was it. I'm done. Whatever. And then it was during COVID, actually. So like 2020, other people's, everyone had their like COVID hobby. Mine was, I'm going to start training for a marathon. And I actually did a lot of, I had this whole like discovering myself phase and what I wanted to do. And that's how I got into the fitness field. So I'm a personal trainer, a Pilates instructor, and a running coach. So I have like all these like that year of 2020, I was like, oh wow, this is like, I'm supposed to be outside doing things, moving around, doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
So in 2020, at the end of the year, my husband was about to be deployed, and I was like, okay, I need something to like fill my time, right? So I got a running coach, and I was like, listen, I really want to run a marathon. The reason marathons were in my sights, when I was younger, my dad ran 2. And
so you had that as an example.
I have to run more than 2. Like that was where it started. Like it was so petty of me, but I was like, I just have to run more than him. And so I was like, here's the deal. I have to run at least 2 marathons. I am like, she called me a weekend warrior, where I'd be like, yeah, I just go out on the weekends and run however long my legs can handle. Like, it was usually like 7 or 8 miles. And that would be like all the running that I did. And so I worked with her, and we still work together. Like, she's still my coach. I think it's really important to, especially as like somebody who's also in that industry, to like take that time apart and not be like, let me not program this for myself as well.
Totally.
Like, you can do it. I will pay for you to do this. I don't have the bandwidth to do this all day long and then come home and do it for me too.
Totally.
And she's she's really wonderful, a fabulous running coach. On Instagram, she's at Coach Montana D Pascal. If you want to put that in there. And she's really wonderful, and she's helped me PR in, I think, every distance.
That's great.
At this point. But that's how I got into it. It was a very long-winded way of saying I've always been a runner, but my pettiness is what drove me to the marathon.
I love it. Hey, whatever works, right?
Right.
No, but I love that you've had I always love people that come on that have had like different seasons of running, because it's like you're a completely different person each time that you're trying to like find your way into running. So what do you feel like, what type of person, I know that sounds weird as a question, but like what type of person do you feel like you were when you finally were able to say, no, I'm a runner, like I'm going to take this on, I'm going to do this thing? What do you feel like you like embodied at that time, I guess?
Yeah. So, I think it was all different, right? So whenever I was in like high school running cross country, I was like, oh, this is just a check in the box. Like, I just want another varsity letter. Like, I don't really care. I'm not a runner. This is just in between sports, kind of staying fit. So I thought of it more as like, conditioning versus anything else. When I was in college, I did not consider myself a runner at all. I was kind of like, oh, this is just something I occasionally do on the side, and I'm not good at it, and that's okay. I don't need to be. This is just
Yeah.
a fun thing. I think at the point when I was kind of like finally like, oh, you know what? I am a runner. This is what I do, and I enjoy this, and I consider myself, because that's like a big step. I feel like when people go from like, oh, this is something that I'm just doing to like, no, I am a runner.
Oh, it
Which
is for sure.
if you run, you're a runner. Like, so it's so weird of what we do in our brains.
Yes.
But I think when I trained for that first half marathon, I was kind of like, oh, maybe this is something that I'm interested in. And then honestly, the second that I made that decision to train for a marathon, I was like, can I curse?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay.
Ahead.
I was like, can I say that? I was like,
of course.
oh shit. This is something I'm like super into, and I'm going to be a big runner. And part of my brain was like, this is insane. Like, why does anybody want to run 26.2 miles?
Yeah.
And then as soon as I like finished that first one and moved on and like, kept going, I was like, okay, but this is actually kind of the best.
Yeah, it's
and
kind
like
of the best thing ever.
It's kind of the best. Yeah. And like maybe it's a different form of mental illness, right? I'm just like,
That's
like
a type 2 fun, Yeah, exactly.
Right. And
exactly.
I'm like, it's so much fun. I love it. Does it hurt? Like today, I DNF'd my long run because I was like, everything hurts and I'm dying. It's hot and humid. And that's okay because it was still fun. You know?
It's like one of the only sports where you can suffer and it cannot go well and you're still doing everything right. So it's
Absolutely.
very weird game. But yeah, so that's okay, cool. So that's how you felt like it was sticking a little bit more this time around. And obviously you had that motivation from your dad. You wanted to run more marathons than him. So you knew that you knew you were gonna run more than one. When you were like first having those conversations with your coach, what were some of the things about the plan that were making you excited, making you nervous, making you like question everything? What was some of those early thoughts when you were starting to piece together the plan?
Yeah, so when we first started talking, she was like, we're gonna run for like time and not distance at first. And I was like, why? I want my watch to be even. Like, what do you mean? I was like one of those people where I was like, oh, I'm at 2.97, gotta run a couple laps up my driveway. Like,
Yep.
And so that was one of the things where I was like, oh, that's really weird. And then she was like, oh, and you're gonna strength train. And I was like, okay. Like I kind of did it anyway because that was my job at that point.
Yeah.
But I never like did it seriously or with like those muscle groups in mind. And honestly, game changer. Would totally recommend it for anybody to strength train through marathon training. But I think when we started talking about how many weeks it was going to take, that's when I was like, oh, you mean I can't just like do this for I mean, my 1 8-mile run, like, for the half marathon, I was like, you mean I can't just like do a month of work and be done? Because she was like, oh yeah, so we're going to do some base building for like, however long, several weeks. And then we'll jump into like an 18-week training program. And I was like, that's a lot of months. Like, I don't know. But I mean, obviously I did it. And it like scratches a little itch in my brain to be like, oh, each week I get to like check a little box and be like, I did everything 100%. I was supposed to do. And like, there's something always, and especially with like my husband being gone for a couple of those months, it was like, oh, I'm 1 week closer to him being back. I just have to run 20 miles first, But that was super exciting. And I really liked the accountability that came with it. Like, I feel like if I was doing it on my own, it was because before I hired her, I was trying to do the Hal Higdon plan.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And in 2020, and I lived in Jacksonville, Florida at the time. And with COVID and with like everything going on, it was just like all I did was run on the treadmill. And I would be like, oh, well, my long run's 12 miles. I'm just going to do 4 today and do the rest tomorrow. I never did the rest tomorrow, ever.
Yeah.
So like putting my money where my mouth was, I was like, okay, now I have to do it, right? Because I have somebody who's, holding me accountable for it, but also I'm giving them money.
Right.
So if you have an accountability issue, I would hire a marathon coach.
Yeah.
Right. Pay someone and you will do it.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. I just talked about this topic of like, I wish I would have hired a coach sooner for my first marathon. So I'm actually really glad that you're going to talk about it. Because I think a lot of times, like we were talking about, you convince yourself that you're not a runner, and even training for your first marathon, which is crazy to think that you could be in the middle of training for your first marathon and still think I'm not a runner. But yeah, you think you're not like qualified enough to take on a coach. But now that I like put together my own training plan for my first marathon, and it was just like it's chaos and I was stressed all the time, and now having a coach, I'm like, this is so nice.
Right.
Like just having
Which
somebody
is,
write the plans and
yes.
accountability and all those things.
And also the like, I'm not qualified enough for a coach is like the silliest concept to me. And like people say
Yes,
that all the time. And I'm like, they're there to help you. Like,
exactly.
like
That's
there's
why they're
like
there.
elite athlete coaches, right? And then there's like coaches that work with everyday people who want to do this and who like
Yes,
understand that life gets crazy sometimes. Like you got to skip a run or two because you're sick. Yeah, okay, that's fine.
of
You're
course.
not
Yeah,
gonna like lose a gold medal or something.
right.
But I will always advocate like if this is your first time doing something really big like this, like running a marathon or even a half marathon or anything less, like you should hire a coach. If you don't know what's going on, it's so common for people to get injured when they're making
Yeah,
their own plans because they just don't understand the like progression that you're supposed to do. And people are like, oh, well, if I'm supposed to run a half marathon in like, 6 weeks, then I should run 10 miles 6 times. And it's like, oh,
it
that's
seems like a
probably
bit
not
much.
what you're supposed
Yeah.
to do. Yeah. I'm like, maybe that's not the vibe.
Yeah. No, it's super helpful, and just to have somebody to ask questions to too. Like when you, like we were saying, when something feels off, or you're hurt, or a week feels too heavy, or you didn't feel like you ran enough, or whatever it might be. Like just having somebody to bounce ideas off of when you don't know what's going on, I think is super super helpful. So I'm it's cool that you
Totally.
had a coach for your first one.
Yeah.
What were some of the other high points of training for your first marathon? Obviously, you said it was lengthy. So if you had a hard, maybe not a hard time,
Mm-hmm.
but like wrapping your head around the length of the training was
Yeah.
tricky. What else were you
Yeah.
dealing with through that first training block?
Yeah. So that was really tough for me. So at the time, I had just moved to the Pacific Northwest and it was winter. And growing up in Florida, that was absurd to me. Like, I was like, it's cold, it's rainy, it's never not raining. So, honestly, that was a huge issue for me at first. I ran on the treadmill so much.
Yeah.
And then I was talking to somebody one day who, like, grew up in the area that I was in, and they were like, well, if you're not going to do it in the rain, you're not going to do it. And I was like, oh, so I have to go run in the rain. And then
Yeah.
after I did that, I was like, okay, this is actually the best. And then like summer running in the Pacific Northwest was phenomenal.
It's the best. Yeah. It's
I could
literally the
go in the
best.
middle of the day and like not even like have any issues.
Yeah.
So that was a big challenge for me, was figuring that out. Honestly, I had a lot of nutrition issues that first training block that I did.
Mm.
And ladies specifically, you should always get your iron tested before the start of a training block.
Mm.
I was severely anemic and my ferritin was like really low. And I
Mm.
didn't realize that until I was falling asleep standing up at work.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because extreme fatigue is one of the signs of specifically low ferritin, but anemia as well. And so I had to deal with like completely revamping my whole entire diet at one point because I was like, before that happened, I was like dabbling in vegetarianism. And after that, my coach and my doctor were both like, you should probably not do that.
Mm.
I was like,
Yeah.
okay, gotcha. So nutrition's hard. And I feel like, especially those first like couple training blocks that I went through, it's really tough to figure out because you have to find what works. One, that you like, right? You don't want to be eating things that you don't like, but two, what works with your stomach. Like I have a
Mm-hmm.
really sensitive stomach, so that was a really hard time for me. Like finding gels, horrible. Not a. I still am like,
Yeah.
But finding gels that worked for my stomach was really hard, and there was a period of time where I was like I'd try one every like a new brand every single week, and like there'd be a couple times where I'd be
Nothing
like
was
I cut my
sticking.
run short because I felt terrible, and
Yeah.
eventually, I figured out like a magic formula, whatever. Um, but that was also really tough. But the training block itself, the work itself, one of the things that I was really excited about was doing like speed work. Like I had never really done anything like that before. Like even whenever it was with cross country in high school or like any other sport that I did, like conditioning wise, it was like punishment, right? It wasn't really like you're trying to get faster. So
Sure.
it was really fun to have those milestones where like each week whenever I did like my speed workout, I could like see myself getting faster, right? That's the beauty of your first marathon training cycle is you have all these like tangible goals that you're meeting every
Yeah.
single week. Like, oh, I'm checking the box. I've never run this far. I just did 14 miles for the first time. How exciting. Or like, oh, I just ran like a 9 whatever mile for the first time. This is so exciting, or whatever your pace was. And so having like each week being like, oh my gosh, look what I just did. This is amazing. And all these milestones, it was like immediate reward. So I was like, oh, I get to put like a little sticker on the calendar, like when you're a kid or
it's
whatever. I
very
was like, this
addicting.
is so great. That does go away, unfortunately, after first tracking block. But there's other things now that's, you celebrate.
Yeah.
But that was so much fun. I loved learning that and just like learning in general about races because I was running races in between, like while I was training, which got me to see different parts of Washington, which was really cool.
Yeah.
But it was also just like, oh, I'd never run like a whatever distance. Like I've done half marathons, I've done 5Ks and like a 15K, but I've never done like a 10K or I've never done, I think one time I did like an 18K. I was like, what even is that? I don't even know, or like an 8K. Like it was like
I love those
everything
random
was
races,
a PR.
Yeah, right.
I know. I was like, who came up with this? But it's so fun to be like, oh, this is the first time doing it. Like I think you said that in your first podcast. You were like, this is your first marathon. This is going to be a PR,
Yes,
right?
yeah,
And so it was
yeah.
fun whenever I was like, this is my first whatever. It's going to be a PR. And just even going from not training into training, like the half marathon distance was like night and day. Like I easily took like 30, 40 minutes off without even like training for that.
Yeah, just being consistent.
Right. And it was so fun to see all of those happen through that training block. And I really enjoyed that portion of it.
Yeah, no, I think that's like the best part about training for your first marathon is all the milestones. It's like it gets very addicting because you do like you hit a new goal literally every single week, sometimes multiple times a week. Like I don't know any other sport where you can progress as quickly as you can. And it all be like relative to you too, like your personal best is personal to you. It's dependent on the week that you're on in your plan and the speed that you're personally at. So I think it's very, very fun for sure. What were how did you end up dialing in fuel? It like, was it trying all those different things and then like you found something, or how did that all work?
So it's evolved, right? So whenever I first was trying to find fuel, I did not have a running store. I lived on an island and we did not have a running store on the island. So the closest one was an hour away. So like whenever I would go out there, I'd be like, give me one of everything that you have.
Yeah.
And sometimes they had a bunch and sometimes they didn't. And eventually, I found a website that sends you like sample sizes of things and it worked better. But I literally think I tried everything. And for my first, I want to say 3 marathons, I only did goo. Like that was the only thing I could do. And it was those like super like sugary ones. So it was like caramel and chocolate and mocha. And by the time I finished my 3rd marathon doing those, like I finished the race and my husband was there and I was like, I'm done with goo.
Never again.
Like I cannot do it again. And so then I had to go on like a whole nother journey of figuring out what I was going to do. And at that point, I wasn't really training for anything specific. Like we were just running races here and there. And at that point, my running buddy who I was running with in Washington, she did Welch's fruit snacks.
Oh, sure.
And I was like, I'm going to do that. That sounds great. Because I knew I liked those and I could tolerate them fine.
Yeah.
But I found that chewing and running is hard for me.
It's a skill, for sure.
It's not a skill that I possess, unfortunately. So that had to go quickly. And then I did take about 7 or 8 months off from running. I had stress fractures in my tibia.
Oh, geez.
It was pretty bad. It is what it is. That was about 2 years ago. And so whenever I came back from that, I had noticed that like my stomach had changed a little bit more, gotten a little more sensitive. So I tried a bunch of different things. And then I eventually landed on the Morton gels.
Yeah.
Which I don't love the texture. The taste is like fine, but it's the only thing that sits really well in my stomach. So I've been using those for the past 2 marathons I've done. And I'm training with them right now. They're like sitting right here at my table. I have running paraphernalia everywhere in my house.
Same. Yeah, it's everywhere.
Right.
Cool. So yeah, so it took you some time, and that was like, obviously we'll go back and talk about your first marathon too, but that was after your first marathon that you started to feel like you really like got it in under control, the fueling side of things. Yeah. So
it's tough because you have to like just try it and hope for the best. And I think I've easily tried like 10 plus brands of gels because the chews aren't for me. There is a couple brands of chews that I do like. But it's like I have to like stop to take them, like because I just run.
Yeah.
The scratch ones are really good. They taste like sour candies, and then A friend on TikTok makes them that also like specifically with sour candies in mind. They're called Noogs,
Oh,
and
love
they're
nukes. We love they're friends of the
so
show.
good. Yes, I was like, they are so good. But again, I just can't, I just can't run and chew. So if I'm going on a long run, I just need like something to like for flavor fatigue. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll stop and pop a couple. But I mean, it's trial and error, right? So it took me a really long time. Like the goos were fine. I could handle it. But by the time I did that third marathon, I was like, I have to
Over
figure
it.
something else out. Like I've
Yeah.
had too many of these. I can't
Yeah.
do it anymore.
I'm waiting for I've taken the same thing for the first 3 marathons, and I'm just waiting for
Yeah.
that point. I know that I'm going to hit a point where
It's
I'm
so
like, I don't
crazy
even want to
because
look
like
at it.
right. It's like one day it's like totally normal, and then one day you're
Yeah.
like, I hate it.
Get them all out.
Like I'm
Yeah.
done. Yeah. And it really sucks if you've just bought a bunch too, and
That's
you're
what I was
like,
about to say. Yeah, just start throwing things out. I'll do a giveaway. I don't know. We'll get rid of
there
them
you go.
somehow.
You're like, I have 87. Do you
Oh
want
my
these?
gosh. All the same flavor too, so you can
Yeah.
get sick of them also.
I hope you really like strawberry lemonade or whatever,
Right.
you know?
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, so it takes some time to for fuel. I'm glad you said that you didn't get it figured out by your first marathon. I think sometimes it does take a
Mhm.
little bit longer depending on if you have a sensitive stomach, if you've tried enough things, like you said, if you get sick of them over time. So definitely be patient with fueling, I think is the lesson there.
Definitely.
But
Absolutely.
back to training. So you were well, I didn't ask this in the beginning. What marathon did you choose, and how did you choose the one that you ended up choosing?
Yeah, so I ran the Coeur d'Alene Marathon in Idaho. And I originally signed up for the Portland Marathon in
Mm,
2020.
yeah,
Obviously, didn't
didn't happen.
happen.
Mhm.
Um, so I was kind of just trying to find one that was close-ish and was happening, right? And so Idaho was a more red-leaning state, so I was like,
Yeah.
hey, maybe that'll be good. So I think I signed up for this race like a month before it happened. Like I was just like actively in training. Also, I'm a serial procrastinator. Um, I ran the Marine Corps Marathon last fall and I signed up like a month before, but I trained for it the whole time. Like I
Yeah.
knew I was like, this is the one, but like I
Just
will
waited to
wait
sign
until the
up.
last minute. Right. So Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, I had never been there before. And I literally just chose it out of it's happening. It's within a 6-hour drive. Hopefully it's not hot. I was wrong. But um, but it was also like a pretty like cheap marathon, so it worked
Mm,
out well in those aspects.
yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to do Portland because my dad's second marathon that he did was Portland, so it actually kind of worked out that was my second marathon, and I ran it 20 years to the day after he did. So it was kind of
Stop.
like a little
That's so
special, like
cool.
yeah, it was super fun. I thought for some reason in the Pacific Northwest that Coeur d'Alene was going to be flat. That also was not the case. I didn't know anything about Coeur d'Alene, clearly.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, cool. So you had a couple things that you were looking at, like for your race criteria, I guess you could say, but
hmm
ended up choosing that one. When you were getting towards the end of training, what were some things like had you taken a look at the course ahead of time to see if there's anything that you should be training for? I'll do the disclaimer that I did not do this for my first marathon, so I don't think many people do. But like,
No,
were
I
you
did
looking
not.
at it ahead at anything? Okay,
No, I had a call with my coach like the day before the marathon, and she like sent me the course profile, and I was like, oh shit.
you're like, dang
I
it.
was just like, I was like, no. And like I ran up trails, like not trails, hills when I was in Washington. I lived at the
Sure.
bottom of one, so it was like a mile to get out. So I'd run on hills, but I was just not prepared. Like there was one hill that was like 3 miles long. I was just like not mentally ready for that. But the other thing too was because it was during like the COVID times. This was spring of 21. They really spaced out the like hydration and fueling
Oh,
stations.
sure.
Which I ran with a handheld water bottle, and my husband passed me one at mile 16. So like I switched, which that's not enough hydration
Yeah.
where I was, or really under any circumstances. It was like maybe like a 14-ounce water bottle. Like that was
Oh,
not
okay.
enough. Yeah. And it was just so spaced out that I wasn't prepared for that either. And so like I was gonna bring my own gels and that was fine, but I was kind of like banking on like refilling my water bottle because I just was like I'm not going to be like BQing or anything. So I can
Sure.
stop and fill up my water bottle. Like that's okay. But that threw me off. It was really spaced out. It threw me off too that I really did no preparation looking at this map at all. It was an out and back in two directions. So we went like out one way along the lake, and then we turned around, came back, and then we passed the finish line, and then we went out along the lake the other way, turned around, and then
Oh my
finished.
gosh.
Which is brutal when you're
Yeah.
at mile 16 and you're watching people finish the marathon.
That's so
I was
brutal.
like, this is so tough. And so those two threw me for a loop a little bit. I probably was prepared for the hills, but just like mentally not clocking that there were that many hills in this race.
Sure.
Just kind of threw it around for me. I was like, yeah, I don't know. I guess it'll be fine. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, and hills can be kind of a mental thing too, you know, like, oh, well, obviously they're a physical thing. I don't want to discount that. Like running up a hill
Right.
is not fun and it's hard for everybody. But I find that just looking at a hill is like a hard mental battle for me. Do you feel like it's the same for you?
Oh, absolutely. And so when we were like running up the highway and it was like 2 miles of straight uphill, I was like,
Yes.
oh, that
Like,
I
you
can
know
see
your
this
body can
whole
do
thing.
it. You know your body can do it, but it's like this is taking a long time and it's uncomfortable. I don't want to be doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. You're like, this is not fun. I thought this was going to be a blast. That's why I signed up for a marathon, right?
You're like, this is not what I asked for. And you said that it was hot too. So what was going on there? Just like unexpected hot weather. What time of year was this? You might have said that before.
Yeah. So this was Memorial Day weekend.
Memorial Day weekend.
So it was going to be hot, and I didn't. I literally don't know what's going on in my brain when I signed up for this race. But so it was Memorial Day weekend in 2021. So the end of May, and it was a beautiful sunny day, and I think the high was like 80. And it, when we started, it was like pleasant. Like I was wearing tank top and shorts at the start line, and I was like already kind of cold. I was like, this is comfortable, which means it's going to really not be fun. So it was super hot to begin with, and there was not a lot of shade on the course at all, because we were running along the lake for most of it. So we were just like out in the sun. The aid stations were spaced, and it not ideal marathon running conditions. But so the beauty of it being my first marathon though was like I didn't know that.
Sure,
like, I was like, oh, sunny and 70, I cannot wait. And then I get out there and I'm like, oh, this is hell. Like I'm roasting.
Yeah.
It ended up being such a warm day. Like even my husband like was at the end, he's like sweating. He's like, I was just standing there. Like, I don't know. My dog was there. She was like panting the whole entire time. But yeah, it was much warmer than I anticipated. And running 26.2 miles in the heat is no small feat.
No.
Yeah. So it obviously took so much out of me, and wasn't drinking enough water, that tiny water bottle that I had. So lots of dehydration involved and all the fun things.
What do you feel like were some of the well, I guess let's break down the race a little bit more. So first half of the race, how were you feeling? Besides like being hot, were you already starting to feel dehydrated at that time? Like any cramping? How was your body feeling? What was the first half like for you?
Right. Okay. Well, before we talk about that, we have to talk about the start line, because that was a big part of what happened.
Okay.
So the night before the race, or the day before the race, they sent out an email and they were like, okay, because it's COVID, we need to space the start times, right? So they did like a staggered start. So they were like, go into this link, sign up for a time, show up at your time. I didn't see that for hours after they sent it. So whenever I like clicked on the link, all they had left was like the last options.
Oh no.
Which was like 8 a.m. So, which hindsight, 8 isn't terrible, but like where we were, it was pretty bad. So I signed up for the time slot. I get there. I'm like, people are starting their race, and it's not like, because it's not like a start wave. Like you hear like one person being like, yeah, and somebody would go. It was like really random and all over the place. And so I'm like standing at the start line. I'm doing my little warm up. My sweet husband was very nervous for me, to the point that he was like throwing up in the porta potty.
Oh no.
Which was stressing me out, and I was like, oh my God, what is going on? He's like, can you hold the dog so I can go throw up? And I'm like,
my God.
Whoa. Love him though. And so So I walk up to the start line and I'm like, oh, I'm here for the 8 a.m. start. And they're like, oh, we've just been letting people go when they get here.
You're like, okay, then what was the point of the email?
So, and I was like, great, why did we do that? So I ran the marathon by myself
Oh my gosh, and nobody
because
started at 8?
everybody, no,
Oh
no.
my gosh. Yeah, you're right. That's an important part of the story for sure.
Yeah. So
That's
I was by
crazy.
myself for a lot of the marathon. Like when we first started,
Yeah.
because there was a half marathon too. So like the first, I don't know, maybe like 5 or 8 miles, there were people around us. After that, it was like me.
Oh,
There was me and this girl who was probably like 5 or 10 years older than me, kind of doing like a back and forth for a while towards the end, but like it was just me. And because it was out and backs, when I was going out, I could see like everybody going, and then when I was coming
yeah.
back, I was like, oh, nobody's here anymore. Um, so that was the fun start line situation. So the
That's crazy.
first, probably like the first half of it, I was okay. Like I wouldn't say I was doing well by any means. I came into this with really big goals. Like I was like, oh, this will be no problem. I'll easily run under a sub 4 hour. I've not done that ever.
I just don't know.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, 8, blah, 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 minute pace. Easy.
Easy. Yeah.
No. Just say it's gotten better, but I have a history of self-sabotaging when my goals are clearly not going to be met. I'm really bad about that in the half marathon. But so I had already, like, I drank all my electrolytes, I did all my fueling, even like the few days before, like I did all that I was supposed to do on that end. But just because it was so hot and I did not have enough water on me and the hydration stations were pretty spaced, I was like stopping in bathrooms. Like, the first, probably from like 8 to 13, I was just like popping in and out because I was already dehydrated.
Yeah.
So, which, fun fact, if you have GI upset while you're running, it's a sign of dehydration. So if you didn't know that, now you do. So I was popping in and out of all of the like the porta potties and everything. I saw my husband at mile 16 because that was when we were coming back and we were crossing by the finish line.
Right.
And then he handed me my other water bottle and he was like, how's it going? And I was like, crying.
Oh.
So, and I had, so I probably cried like 4 or 5 times during this marathon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I was by myself. I was dehydrated. I was just not having fun.
I was gonna say,
and that's
like,
okay.
everything was stacked against you for this race, it
Right.
sounds like.
And
So I
that's
think some
okay.
tears
And
are acceptable.
Yes, right?
Yes.
And so the second half of the race, I think my goal at that point was to just kind of like survive. Like I was not going to let myself quit. There was no,
Yeah.
because I was like, I have to come back anyway. So
Right.
like I can't,
Like, what's the point?
it doesn't matter. Like I'll walk as much as I need to. I still have to come back. And so I kept crying. I cried so much. It's crazy. And I remember at one point, I finally turned around. And so I'm like, I've got like 5 miles left, which at that point of a marathon seems so big. Like you're like, I do this all the time for my training runs. No, 5 miles is Everest. Like there's no shot I'm going to do this easily. And there was one point where I was crying, but I was so dehydrated that there was like nothing like coming.
Oh my gosh. You're going
I'm just like
through
covered
it.
in salt. I'm just like, nothing's happening. I'm just like sobbing with no tears.
Yeah.
And this like sweet old lady was on the side and she was like, you're doing so good. And I was like, no, I'm not. Just not having
Just so over it.
It's like, I just want to be done. So, I pull myself together. I see the finish line, which also before that, we have to go under a bridge and then you like looped around and then finished.
Yeah.
So I'm coming under the bridge. My headphones are dead. I had AirPods. So I was like, they're dead, whatever. I put them in the like pocket, right? I put them in the pocket of my water bottle. Like, you know how some of the handhelds have that and zipped it up.
Yeah.
My husband was on top of the bridge with my dog. And he was like, yeah, you're doing great. And I was like, shut up. I hate my life. And so I was like, I'm putting this down here. Like, I'm putting my water bottle down. I'm almost done. I don't want to do it. He did not hear me say that.
No.
So I run around. I finish. I stop running. He like runs over. He's like, yay. I walk past him, sit down under a tree and sob. And he's like, what do you need? And I'm like, oh, no, water. Right. And so, he gets me some food that I don't eat because I'm so dehydrated. I'm nauseous and feel
Yeah.
terrible. And he gets me some
Yeah.
water. And he's like, well, why are you so upset? And I was like, well, I wanted to run a specific time and I was so far off. And he was like, you just ran a marathon. Like, do you realize like you just ran like 26.2 miles? Like, that's a marathon. Like, that's not like, it doesn't matter. Like, you did it. You checked that box.
Yeah.
And like still inconsolable. Obviously, later that day, I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. I did it, whatever. But so I sit there for like probably an hour. Like, I'm just like, I'm not moving. Like, I'm down, I'm done, I'm not moving. So we finally get up, and I'm like, oh, do you have my water bottle? And he was like, no. And I was like, great, cool. Okay, we'll go grab it.
Cool.
Somebody stole it. So my AirPods are gone.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
And I
This
was
day
like,
could not have gone
done.
worse.
Like, I'm done. Take me home.
Yes.
I'm done. And we were staying in Spokane, which is like just right across the river right there. So it was like a 30-45 minute drive home. But obviously there was traffic. So I was
Of
like,
course.
I just want Chick-fil-A. Oh my God. And so we get back after that. And I remember like lying in bed and I had such big blisters on my toes that like I couldn't sleep even though I was so exhausted because I could like just feel them. Like I was just so uncomfortable and in pain. I was like, all I want to do is sleep and I'm just miserable. And my dog is like, you haven't pet me all day long. And I was like, leave me alone.
I just need a minute.
I know. I was like, just give me a second. Yeah. So my first marathon was not super fun, but I'll tell you what, if you sign up for your second marathon before you run your first, you will run it.
Yeah, that's a great pro tip. Yeah, sign up for multiple. Year over year, you'll just have something to look forward to. Yeah, I love that. Oh my gosh. Well, and thank God you did, because after that experience, I don't know if I would have wanted to run a second marathon. Like, it sounds like everything that could have happened to you, which is just like not the first experience that you want to have for sure.
It's terrible. Oh my gosh. And when I was coming back, they were breaking down the aid stations.
My God, that's horrible.
So I'm like 5 miles out and I'm like, I need a gel, I need water. Yes. And they're like staring at me weird. And I'm like, can I have something?
Please.
And they're like, oh my God, you're a runner? And I'm like,
you're like, yeah, I signed up for the 8 o'clock time slot like you told me to. Oh my gosh. I would have been like ripping things out of their hands.
Right. I know. They were like, here. And they got me like really nice cold ones because like nobody else was coming by. So nice stuff, I guess.
Right.
But I was just like, oh my gosh. I like, and nothing against the Coeur d'Alene Marathon, right? Sure. 2021 was a terrible year for everybody.
Yeah.
And it was just like, and the reason I was signed up for Portland is because I deferred from 2020 to 2021. So that was my second one.
Got it.
And I truly think that if I wouldn't have done that, there's no shot I'd be running marathons today.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. It's like, yeah, if would you have kept going? Because I know you had that goal with your dad too, so maybe that would have been some motivation to like try again. But I don't know.
It might have been, but I don't know.
I don't know. That's a lot. That happened.
It was.
So after the race, when you had some time to process everything that happened, knowing that you had that other marathon on the calendar, were you just like, were you dreading it? Were you about to call your coach and be like, I can't do this? Like, what was going through your head? Because I can imagine that you were looking at that date on the calendar and being like, I do not want to run this whole thing back.
Yeah. So I remember texting my coach that day, and she was like tracking me. They have the live trackers or whatever. Yeah. And I remember as soon as I finished, I looked down at my phone and I like, your family texts you, your friends text you. They're like, I hope it goes well. And you're like, oh, I hate my life. Yeah. And so she texted me. And I remember reading her text and it was like, congratulations, you're a marathoner. And whether you feel good about this race or not, you just ran a marathon. And I was like, yeah, I mean, you guys are saying the same thing. I guess that's a big deal, but it feels really terrible right now. And so, and I remember like my mother-in-law saying something along those lines too. And somebody gave me really great advice one time where they said, your first marathon you survive, your second marathon you run, your third marathon you race. Like, you just kind of have to like get all of them under your belt. So I was like in my mind trying to think of all that, but I just had this like terrible, negative, horrible marathon experience. Right. So
yeah,
I texted my coach that night and I was like, I don't know. I was like, girl, I don't know. And she was like, we're going to take 2 weeks off. Don't run. Don't do anything. Do what you want to do. like, whatever, take your time. We'll reevaluate in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
We'll see what you want to do moving forward. And I was like, okay, sounds good. And those 2 weeks, even though I was super, super sore, probably the whole entire time, I remember feeling like something's missing without like having that goal to strive for. Because like, you think about when you're a kid and you're in school, like there's always like something, right? And it's like you're always working towards something. You want to get those good grades so you can go to a good school, you can go to a good college, you can do whatever, and there's always something moving forward.
Yeah.
And I didn't graduate college, and I didn't, my career is in fitness, so I'm like, yeah, it's great. Like there's no big, like I can't be like promoted. Like I'm
Sure,
here. Like
sure.
what I'm like my own boss, so it's like I'm here, right?
Yeah.
So I remember being like, there's no, like I just don't have, like I needed a goal, and especially like being in a new place. My husband was working really long hours or not there, and it was just like I just needed something for me that made me feel good. And so having those 2 weeks off, even though I was like, wow, I'm really sore and I don't want to run right now, not having that like mental like release of running and not having that mental stimulation of like, this is what I'm working towards, that made me realize like, oh, I think I need to do this. Like and also the pettiness with my dad. Like I was like, I have to at least run 2. I'm going to run 3, but I have to at least run 2.
Right.
And so we reassessed after those 2 weeks, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And she was like, I figured you would. Like, it's one of those things too, where sometimes you can almost tell just by a person's personality, if like, oh, you're really going to like this and you're going to kind of get stuck with it. Like I recently had a friend start running with me, and convinced him. He ran this last marathon with me that I did. And he was like kind of dreading it, but like also like, I'm going to do it. Like I didn't like push him for it. And so I was like, okay, well, the fact that you want to do this and you're enjoying like the training, even though we're all complaining the whole entire time, like you're going to get stuck to this. And he has signed up for 2 more marathons.
Love. Got him.
He signed up one in the fall and one in the spring. Right.
Yeah.
And so, it's just one of those things where as soon as I realized like that was kind of like what was missing, like I just needed that kind of like goal driven kind of aspect, it just clicked, and I was like, oh, this is something I see myself doing for a really long time. Plus I had to beat my dad.
Of course. Yeah, you have to. Cool. I mean, yeah, so yeah, you got the bug pretty quickly, and then you already had that race that you were signed up for. So I guess what were some of the things, we obviously won't get into like all the details of your second marathon, but what were some of the things that you were thinking, now that I have the bug, like now that I know I'm a runner, I'm a marathoner, I've come to terms with this and that I'm going to be running marathons. What are some of those things that you knew that you had to change for your second marathon block versus your first marathon block?
Well, first thing I did was bought a hydration vest.
Nice. Yeah.
I was like, I need more. Right. So, during that training block, we worked a lot with nutrition. We worked a lot with fueling and hydration. I think that was a really big part that was missing in that first marathon. I used liquid IV in the first marathon and quickly learned that I think that gives me some GI upset along with the dehydration that I had.
Sure.
And so somewhere along the lines, I switched to Scratch, and I've been using that for a really long time. So it was probably during that training block. And I like will never go back. Scratch is
I love Scratch.
I love Scratch.
Yeah.
And so we did a lot with electrolytes, like finding that balance, right? Because I did, as I was training through that next one, because I trained through the summer, I did start to like cramp every now and then during the summer. So we had to like find that like fine line of like what will prevent the cramping but not hurt your stomach. So my magic formula is 1.5 scoops of Scratch. But everybody's a little different. You just have to trial and error, figure it out.
Yeah.
And then I did stick with the Goos. Probably should.
Tried and true.
But I did. It worked for them, and it doesn't anymore, but I loved them while they worked for me. So we worked a lot on that, and like nutrition outside of it. Like I was severely under fueling without realizing it. And I still, it's so hard for me still, like to just get as much food as I need. Like it's until I'm at that point where it's like, oh, I'm starving all the time, that it's hard for me to eat 3 meals a day.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like I'm just not like a breakfast person, which is terrible, because like I'll go out the door with like, I'll take a gel and be like, okay, I'm going to run 18 miles. And like, that's what I'm running it on. So that's always been a really big challenge for me. So we started to work on that a little bit more. Another thing I worked on, in my first training block, I used to stop and pause my watch and like recover and then go again. But I would sit like sit on the side of the, well, I would sit on the side of the road for like 4 or 5 minutes and like recover and then start running again.
Mm-hmm.
So what I started doing after that was I would just walk. Like, it's not that big of a deal. It's time
Yeah.
on your feet. You're good. Like, you know, and I feel like, especially as um, us as runners, and especially sometimes newer runners, you have this mentality of like, I have to, like, all of my stats have to be perfect and they have to look a
Yeah.
certain way. And I feel like a lot of times newer runners won't share their stats either because they're like, I don't want people to judge me. And like,
Nobody's going to.
I'm
Yeah.
looking at distance. I don't know what you're talking about. Like,
Yeah, right.
you're good. And so I like had to get over that mental hurdle of like, it's okay if I walk.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
nothing's gonna, it's not bad.
Not
And
at all.
so moving from like that pause and stop, which obviously then your muscles get a little tight, you start running again, you're like, it hurts, and then you pause more, whatever. So just transitioning from that to like walking, I feel like made a really big difference. And from my first to my second marathon, I dropped 47 minutes.
Dang.
So
that's great.
Worked out well for me.
Yeah.
And also every single number one goal from after that first marathon, even now, my number one goal every single marathon is to have fun and not cry. So
Love.
which is a great goal, right?
Yes.
And so and that has mostly happened for all my marathons. I haven't cried in any marathon since.
Or maybe
I've
if
had
you're
a not
crying,
good.
hopefully it's like a good thing, you know, like a finish
Right. I
line
did
moment
cry
or
when
something like that.
Right. Totally. I was like, I did cry when I finished the Chicago Marathon. That was pretty exciting.
Yeah.
But that's the only time I've cried since. I've had some not fun marathons. My last one, I threw up several times during. No idea what happened, which was super not fun. But the having fun and not crying, I think, is a good number one goal. And then after that, it's usually like ABC goals, whatever.
Sure.
But those were big changes that I made, and also like enjoying it. I feel like it started to feel a little bit more like a chore towards the end of training.
Yeah.
And just like after I had that little realization of like, oh, this is like good for my brain, this is good for me as a person, like I feel like a better person doing this. I think that kind of made me be like, oh no, I like running. I get to run 5 miles. I don't have to run 5 miles. And I think that made a big difference too in how the second block of training went versus the first.
Totally. No, that's great. Yeah, I think that you learn something from every single race. Some of those lessons are harder to swallow than other lessons for sure, but you learn something from every single race. And I think that as long as you're like shifting your goals like you did and making them more obtainable so that's something that you can actually like strive for, and you're constantly checking in on yourself and making sure that you still like the sports. Cause I know me personally, like I've gone through seasons of running where I didn't like running, and that's okay too. You just need to kind of teach yourself how to take a step back. Like, yeah, I think that's all you can really do is just keep moving forward, keep being flexible with your goals, and you'll make it happen for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Well, thanks for sharing your story. That was awesome. I always love to ask for like a piece of advice as well. If you could offer a piece of advice for somebody who's maybe thinking about training for their first marathon or already training for their first marathon, what's some advice that you might offer somebody like that?
For newer runners, I think some good advice is invest in a good pair of shoes. As somebody who's had a lot of lower leg issues, I will say shoes make a really big difference. But on top of that, invest in a good pair of socks. I used to have horrific blisters all the time. And then I finally was like, oh, I can't run in these cotton no-shows that I've been wearing since I was in high school. Like, I gotta get a better pair of socks, right?
Yeah.
The second that I did, like, game changer. Like, everything changes. But another thing I would say, too, is it's not a big deal. Like, I feel like people, like, running a marathon is a huge deal, but it's not a big deal. You want to run slow? You want to take a walk break? Great, not a big deal. You want to skip a run because you're going to go drink margaritas with your friends? No big deal. Like, training is important. Obviously, if you want to do something big, it's important, but nothing's that serious. You know,
Yeah.
You're not training for the Olympics.
Right. Don't forget this is a hobby.
Have a fun time. Yeah. And like, if it's not fun, don't do it. Yeah.
Yes, I love that. I think that's the secret to like longevity in the running sport too. Is like if you hate it and you're constantly torturing yourself and you're constantly setting goals for yourself that you can't hit, like you're not gonna like it. So I love that.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Yeah. I'm like, listen, if I was running a 5K every single day and that's all I could run, out. I hate running.
Yeah, I'm definitely not a 5K person either. It's not my favorite distance.
Biggest hater. It's me.
Oh, that's so funny. All right, cool. Well, I want to wrap us up with some fun questions. We're going to keep the cameras rolling for a few extra minutes after the fun questions. So if you want to head over to the bonus, it's myfirstmarathon.co/exclusives. But for the fun questions about fuel and shoes, I think you've already kind of answered our fuel question, but I always like to ask, like, what's your favorite fuel? Is there a specific goo flavor that you like, or some other ones that you've tried that you really like? Like, what are some of your favorites for fuel?
Yeah. So I'm a Morton girly through and
Oh, you said
through.
Morton now. Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they're not flavored. It's like, what does it say? Slightly sweet or something like that. No, just hydrogel sports fuel.
Yum.
My favorite flavor. And I prefer their non-caffeinated, honestly. I think the caffeinated has a little more chemical taste to it, not so into that. And also Noogs. Flavor
Love
fatigue,
Noogs.
I'll pop a Noog every now and then. I did do Goose for a while. My favorite flavor was I think it's like espresso love or something is what it was called. I was into that one. Obviously I don't have those anymore, but that was a good one. And then for like hydration stuff, I do Scratch strawberry lemonade or lemon lime, which their stuff's great because you can get like a hint of lemon. So if you're not into like the flavor, you can just be like,
Oh,
yeah,
it's
just
really
give
good.
me a
Yeah.
water with electrolytes in it. So, but those are my fueling of choice, or Nerds gummy clusters. Honestly,
Classic.
I
Love
gotta
love
stop
those
eating
two.
them because I can't chew and run. But
And those are chewy too, so those would take a minute.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
well, Noogs I love. I don't know if this episode's coming out before or after, but I'll just plug real quick that Paige from Noogs is coming on the show, so we're gonna have an episode diving
I
a little
love
deeper with Paige
her.
soon. I know she's the best. I'm excited.
Love
Cool.
pages who run.
Yes. Okay, cool. And then shoes. What have you liked for shoes over time?
Yeah, so I, with my lower leg injuries, obviously, anytime after an injury, I would go get refitted just because, your foot and your gait can change a little bit.
Yeah.
So I started off like diehard Brooks girly, was very into the Adrenaline 21. And then when they changed to either the 22 or 23, it just was not like serving me anymore. So I had to switch away from them. Right now, this happens to me so much. I was a big New Balance 1080 when they changed their newer version. I was like, nah, I don't like them.
Yeah.
And I have really narrow feet, and I think that's why my feet are kind of more sensitive to the changes in the shoe style. But right now I have, so New Balance Fuel Cell Super Comp is
Cool.
what I'm using right now. And then Nike gifted me a pair of Vomeros when they were doing that to like everyone and their mom on TikTok for a while.
Got 3
And
pairs. They were going crazy.
Oh my God. That's amazing. Unfortunately, I have giant feet. So like anytime people are like, I'm doing a giveaway and it's a size whatever, I'm like, I wear a size 10.
You're like,
I'm
that's
like,
not gonna
nobody
work.
ever gives away those sizes. But I use the Vomero for like my recovery runs.
Cool.
And I think they're pretty great. I am interested in trying like a speed shoe here soon, adding that to the rotation. I haven't before just because I feel like my lower legs are always mad at me.
Yeah.
So, but hopefully this cycle, I'm training for Berlin right now.
Oh, so exciting. That's a big one.
So hopefully it is. I'm really excited. It's my second major. So hopefully for this one, I'll get a little speed in and can have a shiny little PR when I'm over there. So we'll see.
Amazing.
Do you have any recs? If anybody else has any recs, I don't know what to pick. So
there's so many different speed shoes out there. It's honestly kind of overwhelming. So I don't know. I'm always a big fan of going to shoe demos. I think it's a good excuse to go to a run club too. So that's always my advice is like, if you have a particular shoe, just look out for a shoe demo in your area. Go to run club, run in them for a few miles. And if you like them, get them. That's like the best thing that I've found. So
I went to one the other day. It was a Hoka one, and they had like 2 pairs of women's 10s, and they were both gone by the time I got there. And I was like,
no,
guess I won't try them.
Oh, that sucks. They should have like a form that you can fill out ahead of time so that you can so they know who's going to be there.
Like, hey, I'm coming. I'm a size 10. Bring me a pair.
It'd be too easy. They could never make it that easy.
Yeah. They gotta put us in charge of things.
Right. I know. We need to open a shoe store. That sounds like that's the next move from here. Easy. Well, cool. Well, thanks again for sharing your story. If anybody wants to follow along with you, where can they find you?
So I am on TikTok and Instagram as Paige Spantastic.
Love.
Interesting username that I picked for myself a while ago. But I'm on there, and I don't think I'm anywhere else.
Cool. Well, I'll put it in the show notes as well so that they can find you there. We're going to jump over to the bonus for a few extra minutes, but for our regular listeners, thank you for coming on. Appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the My First Marathon podcast. For more stories, tips, and resources, head to myfirstmarathonpodcast.com. And if you want access to bonus episodes, exclusive resources, and extra support for your training, make sure you check out the community at myfirstmarathonpodcast.com/exclusives. You can also follow along with us on socials, Instagram and TikTok. That's at My First Marathon Pod. If you want to follow along with my personal journey, that's at tay.says. Whether you're training, recovering, or just thinking about signing up, you belong here. I'm so excited that you're here, and we'll see you on the next one.